Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're viewing this. My name is Mike. I am the Crypto Liberal. Happy CPI day. Happy horrible number day. 9.1 when everybody was expecting, well, not everybody, but the market, the experts were expecting 8.8 and we hit 9.1. A horrible number. But things didn't react that badly, right? The stock market kind of stayed flat. Crypto kind of stayed flat. Nothing horrible happened. Even though the number was the highest it's been in over 40 years. 9.1, 40 years. We haven't seen that number in 40 years. But, right, everybody took it in stride and we didn't react that badly. And I think I know why. And I will share that with you if you hit that subscribe button. Give me a like, give me a comment. If you do that for me, I'll share it with you. I'll share it with you anyway. But I think I know why the market didn't react that badly. I think I know why the 9.1 is the peak, the absolute highest number we'll see for hopefully ever, the rest of our lives, right? We'll see. But I think I know why. So we'll talk about that. So hit that like button, give me a subscribe, and give me a comment. So let's start with the stock market. Right? Stock market was pretty much flat. Like I said, the Nasdaq was flat. Dow was down about 0.7. The S&P was down about a half. And, maybe even the bigger factor was the DXY. The DXY is still at record numbers, 108. Still, 108 is like over a 20-year high. It hasn't been this high for 20 some years. So that's still elevated. But it was flat today, despite the high CPI number. So that's all good, right? Everything's flat. Kind of maybe they also have, reached their max pain, right? Maybe the max pain was today, 9.1. Maybe that's the max pain for the stock market, which is why it didn't move, didn't dump horribly. I mean, that's the dollar is recognizing that we're at max pain. Not that 9.1 is the max, so it's starting to peak as well. We'll see. But here's why I think that 9.1 is the max. Here's why I think it's going to start going down. Here's why I think the stock market didn't panic today and crypto didn't panic. And it all comes down to crude, the crude oil number, right? Crude right now is at 96. So it stayed flat today. Nothing really happened from the CPI number. It stayed flat today. Look at that flat line, ticker. But look at the last month. Look at the last month. A month ago, crude was above 123. And now it's at 93. So what is that? That's like a 20% reduction in a month. A 20% reduction in a month, over a 20% reduction in a month. And what does that mean, right? Well, the cost of goods, everything you buy that's in the CPI number, goods and supplies, right, are the cost of energy is reflected in those goods and supplies, or goods and services, sorry. So the fact that the crude oil is going down, right, the cost of obtaining goods to make a company's products is going down, right? The cost to get those supplies into the shop, right, or it's going down because the cost of crude is going down, which is resulting in the cost of gas prices going down. The cost to produce those goods is going down, so the cost passed on to the consumer will go down. The cost of services is going down because the service, right, the cost to ship things or transport a service or get to your workplace is going down because the cost of gas is going down. So the cost of energy is reflected in almost every single price that you pay for anything at the store or via a service. And if that continues to go down, right, the CPI number has peaked, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying we're going to go from 9.1 to 4 next month. It's not going to happen. It's going to take a while to have it all bubble through the economy enough where that you see a noticeable dip in that CPI number. But it will happen. And I think the market is starting to recognize that, right? And that's why the stock market didn't freak out today. So that's good. And the stock market didn't freak out. That means crypto didn't freak out, right? Bitcoin didn't freak out. I mean, let's look at Bitcoin. I mean, we had a nice little rebound today. We're bumping up against 20,000 again. I think right now, I think the best thing you can say about Bitcoin is that it's establishing a base, right? We have set successive lower lows or higher lows, right? This low back here was at 18.9. I mean, the close of that candle, 18.9. And then, up here on July 2nd, we closed at, 19.2. And now we're closing, yesterday we closed at about 19.3. So we're setting successive higher lows, which is necessary to establish a base, right? If for some reason we dip below one of these previous lows, then all bets are off, and maybe 17.5, we revisit 17.5 or lower. But for now, as long as we're setting higher lows, I think we're establishing a base. And we're not going to get above some of these resistance levels anytime soon, right? Like a week ago, or when we were counting, it was 5 days ago, right? I mentioned this blue line. I said, I don't think we're going to get above this blue line, which I've had on here for weeks, until we get some volume. And I didn't see volume coming in anytime soon. And sure enough, what happened on July 8th, right? We whipped up to that blue line. I mean, perfectly. I had that blue line on here for a while. Look how perfectly we whipped up to it. But we got rejected. And sure enough, we started wandering back down. And it looks like we're getting a nice pump while I'm on the video here. We're at 20,200 in just a minute or two. But so, I think establishing this base is probably necessary. Establishing this base might be prolonged. We might, flit in between 19.5 and 24 for a prolonged period. It might be months. But I think that's necessary to establish a base. And it's all going to be based on what happens with that CPI number, what happens with the DXY, what happens with crude oil, what happens with other macro factors like maybe the Russia-Ukraine war, right? All those things are going to factor in to giving people confidence again to get back into crypto. And Bitcoin, right, being the leading crypto, is I think it's necessary that we establish a base here. And as long as this base is being established, then I'm even more confident in my secondary prediction, which is alt season is around the corner. It's coming up quick. I mean, look out in the horizon. Just gaze out there. You can see altcoin season peeking around the corner. And that corner might not be next week or next month. It might be 3 months from now or 6 months from now. But if you look far enough, I can see alt season peeking around the corner at us. And I've got multiple charts to show you that are all bullish versus Bitcoin. That is the definition of alt season. And when do you want to recognize alt season? After everybody else has? After your favorite crypto influencers, 4 out of 5 of them are talking about alt season? No, the best time to recognize alt season is before any of them recognize it, before anybody is talking about it, before crypto Twitter blows up, before, with alt season, hashtag alt season, right? I don't know anybody else is talking about alt season right now. And that is when you want to recognize it. That's when you want to get into alts. That's when you want to position yourself for legendary returns. And I'm not talking about next week, next month, 3 months from now, maybe 6 months from now. But alt season is coming. And I'm preparing myself for it. And I've been open on this channel about that. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe, because right, I'm bringing this to the channel at the opportune moment to get into alts. Not financial advice. You need to make your own financial decisions based on your own financial situation. But alt season is coming. And, I've been open on this channel since I started this 10 weeks ago, And I said, by the end of the year, a year from now, 5 years from now, ADA will outperform Bitcoin. And I prove it on this channel every day by dollar cost averaging into those 3 coins. And, we do it $100 a week, and we've been doing it for 10 weeks. So we put $1,000 into each of these. And look at that. ADA is already outperforming Bitcoin in those 10 weeks. And I also said Ethereum would outperform Bitcoin by the same time frames, and it's lagging behind right now, but it will catch up, right? Because what's coming? We have good news coming for ADA with Vassal, the Vassal hard fork in just a few weeks. The projects on ADA are going to explode. That's good news number one. Ethereum also got good news coming with, Ethereum 2.0 moving to proof of stake. That's great news. And when that gets done and launched, you're going to see Ethereum explode versus Bitcoin. Two macro factors or fundamental factors related to ADA and Ethereum that are bullish versus Bitcoin. But it's not just those kind of things that I'm looking at. It's the charts. The charts are bullish versus Bitcoin. Let's look at them, right? ADA versus Bitcoin. So again, I look at weekly charts. So these are not short-term trades. And I look at weekly charts against Bitcoin because that's what I want to focus on is returns versus Bitcoin, right? Not returns necessarily against the US dollar, because if you had worried about the US dollar, you wouldn't have made any of these moves, and you'd be losing more money versus US dollar because you stayed in Bitcoin. But no, right? 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I told you I was moving out of Bitcoin and primarily into ADA when one ADA was worth about 0.000019 Bitcoin. And right now, it's worth 0.00002142 Bitcoin. So we're making money versus Bitcoin. Now again, if you had worried about it versus the US dollar, you wouldn't have made the move, but you would have lost more US dollars staying in Bitcoin. And again, I'm not waiting for this small return we've got right here, right? I'm waiting to get back to the top of this wedge, which would put it at 0.00006 Bitcoin. So if you had moved in, just say 4 or 5 weeks ago when I brought it to this channel, I brought it that night, the night I made the move. And I was open and honest. I said, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I showed you the exact moment I was doing it and at the exact price. And if you had made that move with me and just moved one Bitcoin into ADA, and it does get to that 0.00006 Bitcoin, one Bitcoin will turn into 3, right? If you move it into ADA and it gets to 0.00006 Bitcoin, and then you move it back into Bitcoin, that one Bitcoin would turn into 3, 2 would turn into 6. So I'm not saying that there's not other resistances on the way up, because there certainly are. And I might take some profits on the way up before we get to that ultimate number, right? These blue lines, I have them marked already. We'll talk about them as we get there. So, and I will pull some out probably and put it back into Bitcoin. And I will be open and honest on this channel. So if you appreciate that, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification so you know when I'm making videos, because I will talk about that as we move up. And be honest and forthcoming about what I'm doing. So that's ADA. That's just one alt chart that's bullish versus Bitcoin, right? That descending wedge. Look at how beautiful that is. And we almost got to the apex, right? And then we busted out. And I told you before we got to the before we got that giant green candle, before we got this giant green candle, I told you right like the day before. So if you appreciate that, I'm bringing that to you like the day that it's breaking out. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, because that's what I aim to do on this channel. I aim to bring things to you at the right opportunity, not 3 weeks before, not 3 weeks after, right? At the right opportunity before anybody else is recognizing it, before anybody else is recognizing alt season. So that's just one chart bullish versus Bitcoin. How about another, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And again, we're looking at the weekly chart, not a short-term trade. And again, this is about 4 or 5 weeks ago, the same night I talked about ADA, I said I'm also moving Bitcoin into Ethereum. Right when we were hitting this downward, this red line, this upward sloping red line, right? That's our support. And the upper blue line is our resistance. It's an ascending triangle. And I said 4 or 5 weeks ago, that night, I said, hey, I am moving from Bitcoin into Ethereum. When one Ethereum was worth about 0.052 Bitcoin. Well, right now we're at 0.054 Bitcoin. And look how perfectly that support has held in the weeks after. We wicked below it that first week. We wicked down to it exactly weeks 2 and 3. And then this week, today, I think we wicked down below it after the CPI numbers came out. But look at, we're right back above it. And it's a weekly chart. So as long as we're closing above that support line, we're good. We're golden. And again, I'm not worried about the trade versus US dollars, because if I had left it in Bitcoin, I'd be losing more US dollars. I'm worried about it versus Bitcoin. And I told you at the exact opportune moment, the perfect moment to get into that, I was moving out of Bitcoin into Ethereum, and we're making money versus Ethereum or versus Bitcoin. So it's 2 for 2 charts, right? And again, I'm not waiting for the minuscule returns we have so far. I'm waiting for it to get back up to the top of this top blue line. And what is that? That's a 50% return. That means if you had moved in with me when I pointed it out on this channel, the exact opportune moment, you could turn 1 Bitcoin into 1.5 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin into 3 Bitcoin. And when do you recognize it? When did I bring it to this channel? Before anybody else does, before anybody else is even talking about it. And we're winning already. And it's just starting. So that's 2 for 2. 2 for 2 alts that are bullish versus Bitcoin. How about a third one? Now, here's where the honesty comes in, right? The third one, we're losing, or I'm losing. I don't know if anybody else went in with me, but it's Polkadot versus Bitcoin. Now look at this descending wedge again. It's a descending wedge, looks a lot like the ADA chart, right? Descending wedge, and we broke out a few weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago. And I told you about 2 weeks ago, I said, look, let's wait to the weekly close and see if that resistance line, that downward sloping red line, upper red line, let's see if it holds as support. And that 2 weeks ago, right, we wicked down to it and we touched it perfectly and bounced off. And that's when I came on the channel and said, hey, I'm going in. And it was when one dot was worth about 0.00035 Bitcoin. Well, right now we're at 0.00032 Bitcoin approximately, right? So we're losing. But again, that trade's only a week and a half old. And as long as that support line is holding, I'm not worried about it because it's bullish versus Bitcoin. As long as we maintain that former resistance as support, which we are perfectly, right? Look at how perfectly it's holding as support. It's going to bounce back, in my opinion, not financial advice. And again, I'm waiting for it to get to the top of this descending wedge, which would be at 0.0008 Bitcoin approximately. Again, doubling your Bitcoin. I'm not worried about it versus the US dollar. I'm worried about it versus Bitcoin. So while I'm losing the trade right now, very minor loss right now, and it's my smallest position, so I'm even less concerned about it. I'm focused on the long-term trade. Again, it's a long-term trade, not a week-long trade, not a month-long trade. Maybe it's a 6-month trade. And I'm confident it will be winning in the end because the chart right now is bullish versus Bitcoin. So that's 3 charts bullish versus Bitcoin, right? They're breaking out versus Bitcoin. How about another one that I didn't get in and I'm regretting it, right? I brought it to you the same day I brought you to the Polkadot chart, but matic versus Bitcoin. And look at this. I mean, a descending channel, right? And then I told you again, the week it was breaking out, and I said the next week, let's wait to see if the weekly candle closes above, if that upper trend line, the upper red line, holds as support. Well, what happened? We wicked down to it and bounced off. And I wish I would have gone into matic. I didn't. And it's been bullish against Bitcoin ever since. So if any of you took that trade when I brought it to the channel, congratulations, you're a better person than me. But right, that's 4 charts, all bullish versus Bitcoin, and I'm not done. There's another one I brought to the channel just a few days ago. AAVE. AAVE is bullish versus Bitcoin. Again, look at the weekly chart. It's a descending wedge like ADA, like Polkadot, and last week we broke out. And I told you a few days ago, I'm going to wait until this weekly candle closes and see if this upper red line, the former resistance, now holds as support. And what happened? This week already, We wicked exactly down to that red line. Look at that. I mean, you can't draw it any more perfect than that. That red line is perfectly acting as support. Now I'm going to wait until the weekly close on Sunday, and if it holds the rest of the week, maybe I jump into AAVE. Maybe I move some of my Polkadot into AAVE. I probably won't do that. I'll find some funds somewhere to move into AAVE. But again, 5 charts, 5 bullish charts versus Bitcoin. Again, they're not short-term trades. It's not financial advice, but alt season is screaming at us. It's screaming at us to recognize it, and nobody else is. Nobody is recognizing it. That is the time you want to pay attention, look down the street. That street might be 6 months away, but alt season's looking around the corner at us and saying, come on, because I'm waiting for you. And I'm going to recognize it. I'm going to get my positions established before we get to that corner, because when we get to that corner, alt season is going to jump out and everybody's going to say, oh my God, it's alt season, but they're going to miss 50% returns, 100% returns that we've already gotten because we recognized it 6 blocks back. That's what I'm doing. So if you appreciate that, right? If you appreciate me bringing these alt charts to you at the exact opportune moment, the exact moment they're turning bullish versus Bitcoin, when nobody else is recognizing it, not one single person is recognizing it that I've seen, give me a like, give me a subscribe. That's all I have for today. Recognize alt season before anybody else does. Recognize that the CPI number, we've just seen the worst of it, right? Things are going to turn around. It might take a while, but they're going to turn around. And you're at the you have the best opportunity right now to establish your positions for legendary returns to come in the months and years to come ahead of us, right? So that's all I have. I hope you have a great night. My name is Mike. I am the Crypto Liberal. We'll chat tomorrow. Good night.